Chapter 27, The Silent Threat. Tomorrow morning in the prison, the routine was as monotonous as ever. Leo and Theo sat at their small table, eating breakfast in silence. The clatter of trays and distant shouts filled the air outside of their cell. When they finished, they stepped out into the yard, the familiar gray walls looming around them. Leo scanned the yard, noting the same faces, the same movements. His smile faded. "I thought I made fans last night," he muttered, almost to himself. Theo shot him a sharp look. "Shh. We don't talk about the arena here." "Why not?" Leo asked, curious. Theo draped an arm around Leo's shoulders, walking him slowly through the yard. "See, it's a little complicated. The guy who organizes has higher authorities above him who won't like it. You get it?" Leo nodded, a little sheepish. Okay. A sudden crash interrupted the conversation. Both turned instinctively. A fight had broken out a short distance away. Several inmates had gathered around, circling the combatants. Theo's eyes lit up with a grim excitement. "But you can talk about this one, come on." He grabbed Leo's arm and pulled him closer. In the center, a massive black inmate was fending off a group of 5 white men. By the time Leo and Theo reached the edge of the circle, the black man had already knocked down 2. With a fluid, terrifying strength, he grabbed 2 more by the neck, slamming them to the ground. Their heads hit the ground with sickening thuds. The last man, wide-eyed and trembling, bolted. Leo's mouth fell open. Wow, wasn't that amazing? But Theo's expression had darkened, his brow furrowed. "That's odd," he muttered. "What's odd?" Leo asked, turning to look at him. They both glanced back at the fight. The black man, chest heaving, turned and locked eyes with Leo. There was a cold, calculating glare in those eyes that made Leo's stomach tighten. Theo grabbed his arm firmly. "Let's go, now." "What happened?" Leo asked, but Theo didn't answer immediately. He pulled Leo aside, away from the crowd, and lowered his voice. "Stay away from him." "Why?" "Just do as I say." "But—" Leo hesitated, studying Theo's serious expression. It wasn't just caution. There was something deeper there. Danger. He swallowed and nodded. "Okay." The yard faded around them as they walked away, but the black man's stare burned into Leo's mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that trouble was already circling them, silent but imminent. They both sank onto a bench, silence stretching between them. Leo fidgeted, confused. Theo, who never stopped joking, sat like an old man hardened by years behind bars, eyes scanning the yard, every movement calculated, every detail noted. Theo let out a long sigh and stood. "Let's go." Without a word, Leo followed him back to their cell. "Why are we here?" Leo asked, curiosity edging into worry. Theo ignored the question. He crouched, reached under his bed and pulled out a bottle of beer, twisting it open with a practiced motion. He drank, finished, and reached for another. By the 5th bottle, Leo couldn't hold it in. "Isn't that a lot?" Theo shrugged. "I only drink when I'm happy, or stressed." Leo frowned. "How did that guy stress you out? Who is he?" Theo's eyes darkened. "Better if you don't ask." A heavy silence filled the cell. After a long pause, Theo finally spoke, his voice low, almost a growl. "Leo, promise me something." Leo looked up, attentive. "Till you get out of here, stay away from him." The words hung in the air, chilling in their simplicity. Leo swallowed. He could feel the weight behind them, the unspoken threat that the black inmate wasn't just dangerous. He was something else entirely, something inevitable. And suddenly, every shadow in the yard, every movement, felt like it could explode into violence. At night had fallen over the prison. In their cell, Leo was curled under the thin blanket, half asleep, while Theo sat on the edge of his bed, every muscle aching. "Hey, Leo," Theo said casually. "I need to check something outside, and don't wait up." Leo, half listening, murmured, "Okay." Theo slipped quietly out of the cell, moving through the shadows toward the black inmate's room. He paused at the door, took a deep breath, and slipped the lock open. He pushed the door gently and stepped inside. "You live alone, huh?" Theo said casually. The black inmate stirred from his bed, eyes narrowing. "What are you doing here, Theo?" Theo sat on the empty bed across from him, letting his shoulders relax, though his eyes never stopped scanning. "I'm confused." The black inmate raised an eyebrow. Confused about what? You fighting today and it was really odd, Theo said carefully. The black inmate smirked. What do you mean? Theo leaned forward slightly. I know you stopped fighting a long time ago, and you're not the type to pick on weaklings. Theo expected a laugh, but instead the black inmate's smirk turned sharp. Theo, you're smart, but also the dumbest. Theo tilted his head. That fight? Just a cover-up, now I can confirm it. Confirm what? Theo asked, trying to sound casual. Don't play dumb with me, who is that boy? Theo's heartbeat picked up, but he kept his face calm. He's a new inmate. Scared, so I took pity on him and attached him to me. The black inmate leaned closer, voice low and cold. Pity? You're not the type to pity anyone. Theo felt a chill run down his spine. I know he's Alaric's son, the black inmate said, leaning forward, eyes locking on Theo. Theo's face betrayed him for the first time. Eyes wide, sweat beading on his forehead, jaw clenched tight. I know that bastard Marino is behind all this, the black inmate continued, rising slowly. And you doubted I'd find out. So you came to kill me, Theo. Am I right? Everything in Theo screamed fight or die. Muscle memory took over. Knife flicked from his sleeve. But the inmate was faster, impossibly fast, grabbing Theo's wrist, twisting, lifting, and smashing his head into the wall. Knife skittered away. A punch landed hard against Theo's chest, knocking the wind out of him. He stumbled to the ground, barely managing to get up as the black inmate advanced to finish him. Then the cell door slammed open. Guards poured in, shouting orders. The black inmate froze for a second, calculating before being restrained. Who the hell let him out? One guard barked. I think we should take him to the medical center, another suggested. Nah, the first guard said, shaking his head. He's all right, take him back to his cell. Hours later, Theo slipped back into his cell. Leo was fast asleep, breathing evenly. Thank God he's sleeping, Theo muttered to himself. Otherwise, he'd be asking some damn questions. Theo sat on the edge of his bed, every muscle aching. He touched the side of his head, felt his hand. No blood, thank God. He put his head on the pillow, but quickly jerked upright in pain, clutching the back of his head. Fuck, it hurts so much. He reached under the bed, pulled out a beer and twisted it open, saying to himself, maybe a beer would do me good. The cold sip burned down his throat, easing some of the tension. He laid back, closing his eyes. Guess I can finally get some rest. Pain, sweat, and fear lingered, but finally exhaustion took over. Theo drifted into sleep. Leo woke to an eerie stillness in the cell, the usual morning clamor replaced by an unsettling silence. He rubbed his eyes and saw Theo still lying on the bed, seemingly asleep. When the guard appeared to deliver breakfast as usual, Leo shook Theo gently. Wake up. The food's here. Theo didn't stir. He grabbed Theo's shoulder and shook him. Panic spiked when Leo pushed harder and felt the body go limp, colder than it should be. Theo! Theo! His voice cracked, bouncing off the cold walls. No response. A sudden, gut-wrenching realization hit him. This wasn't a joke. Theo was gone. The air felt heavier, the shadows darker, as if the prison itself mourned. Leo scrambled to the door, shouting for the guards. Shouts cut the stunned silence. The cell door slammed open and a squad of guards poured in. Their movements were stiff and precise, no gentleness in their grip as they lifted Theo's lifeless body, bundling him toward the corridor. One of them glanced at Leo, expression unreadable, before following the others. As the cell emptied and footsteps faded, Leo sank to the floor, gripping the sheet, the weight of emptiness pressing down on him. Certainty had vanished. The prison felt enormous now, cold and hunting, every shadow a threat, every sound a warning. Chapter 28, The Quiet Reawakening. 5 days had passed since Theo's death. Leo hadn't stepped outside his cell once. The walls felt closer, the air heavier, and every sound echoed like a reminder of the emptiness around him. Morning light filtered weakly through the small window, casting long, thin shadows across the floor. The heavy clank of the door jolted him from his reverie. A guard appeared, tossing a worn bag of food onto the floor with a curt, "Here," before disappearing as abruptly as he'd come. Leo stared at the bag, confusion knitting his brow. Why is the food still coming? Wasn't it for Theo? His voice barely rose above a whisper, swallowed by the emptiness of the cell. He picked up the bag, hesitated, then began to eat. The taste was mechanical, meaningless, as if the act of feeding himself were a duty he no longer felt connected to. His mind betrayed him, flooding with memories he couldn't escape. Theo's easy laughter, the endless stories that once filled the air, the way he'd joke and tease, always just a moment away from chaos but somehow comforting. Every bite dragged him further into the flashbacks, and the cell felt colder than ever. Alone. Too alone. The echo of Theo's voice lingered in every corner, every shadow, and Leo couldn't tell where memory ended and reality began. The afternoon sun seeped through the small window, painting the cell in pale golden stripes. Leo sat on the edge of his cot, knees drawn up, staring blankly at the floor. His mind wandered relentlessly, replaying memories of Theo. If Theo were here, we'd be outside by now at the gym. He'd be teasing me about my form, making me push harder, laughing every time I complained. Hell, he'd probably be arguing with me about breakfast too. The thought tightened something in Leo's chest. He shook his head, trying to push it away, but the loneliness clung stubbornly. The clatter of the cell door breaking the monotony made him flinch. A man stepped inside. Average height, white, around 30 to 35, carrying himself with cautious curiosity. Leo's eyes flicked toward him, then immediately dropped. He refused to acknowledge the intrusion. "Hey," the man said, his voice polite, tentative. Leo didn't look up. I'm not here to cause trouble," the man continued. Still nothing from Leo. A pause. Then the man tried again. "Name's Austin. What's yours?" Leo's gaze stayed fixed on the floor, the words barely leaving his lips. "Leo," he muttered, voice low, heavy with fatigue and lingering grief. Austin nodded slowly, as if understanding something unspoken, and didn't push further. The silence stretched between them, thick and fragile, the air heavy with unasked questions. Leo sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, lost in his thoughts. Across the cell, Austin lay on his own cot, eyes flicking toward Leo, then quickly looking away. He repeated the motion several times, as if trying to gauge whether Leo would speak, react, or even acknowledge him. But Leo remained unchanged, silent, distant, trapped in his depression. Finally, Austin sat up, swinging his legs over the side of the bed. "Hey, you want to go outside?" he asked cautiously. Leo's eyes didn't lift. "No thanks," he muttered politely, voice low. Austin hesitated, then tried again. "Come on, it'll be good to get some fresh air." Leo shook his head slightly, retreating further into himself. Seeing no other option, Austin moved closer and gently grabbed Leo's arm. "I'm not asking this time," he said, his grip firm but careful. Before Leo could protest, Austin led him toward the door. Outside, the sun was warmer than Leo remembered. He slumped onto a bench, letting the light fall on him but not feeling it. Austin approached, energetic and persistent. "All right, let's do some exercise," he said, trying to pull Leo up. Leo remained seated. "No," he said flatly. Austin crouched down in front of him, a grin tugging at his lips. "Come on, you'll lose all your strength." Leo's gaze finally met his. "Why would you care about my strength?" he asked, his voice steady. Austin paused, hesitated, and finally shrugged. "Okay. Your choice," he said, standing up. Without another word, he walked away, leaving Leo alone on the bench, the silence of the yard wrapping around him like a shroud. The next morning, the cell was quiet. Both Leo and Austin were awake, but neither spoke. The dim light of dawn crept across the cold floor, and the silence weighed heavily. A loud thud echoed as the guard tossed a bag of food onto the floor. "Here!" he barked, then left without another word. Leo's eyes snapped to the bag, tension coiling in his chest. Why are they keep sending food? Now he'll ask me stupid questions. Why? What? Where? He glanced at Austin, who simply knelt down to open his own bag. Calmly, almost casually, he muttered to himself, "The food is here." Leo froze, blinking. He isn't asking questions, it's like he already knows about it. After a moment, Leo glanced at Austin and got up. "Hey, that's my food," he said lightly. You're going to eat all of this? It's too much," Austin said, staring at the bag. Austin just shrugged. Leo's eyes widened as he looked closer. The bag was easily double, maybe triple, the amount of the past few days. Confusion swirled in his mind, but without thinking too much, he sat down and began to eat, the silence of the cell wrapping around them once more. A week had passed. Leo had mostly moved on from Theo. He went outside every day, pushed himself at the gym, and ate like a bull, letting routine anchor him. He spoke to Austin sometimes, but he hadn't made friends with anyone else. All he wanted now was to kill time until he could finally be released. Night fell over the cell. Both were quiet, lying on their beds. Leo noticed a flicker of uneasiness in Austin's posture, the way his eyes darted toward the door, then away. "You all right?" Leo asked quietly, breaking the silence. Austin sat up abruptly, a spark of excitement lighting his face. "I want to show you something. Come on, follow me." Curiosity pushed Leo to his feet. He followed Austin down the dimly lit hallway, the clatter of distant voices and echoes of prison life fading behind them. Halfway down the corridor, realization hit him. He's taking me to the fight club. He wondered how Austin had found out. Had someone whispered, or had Austin overheard something on his own? Finally, Austin pushed open a door, revealing the arena. The space buzzed with energy. Shadows of inmates circling a combat ring, the faint smell of sweat and metal in the air. "Isn't this amazing?" Austin said, eyes wide. "Now we'll never get bored." Leo's expression stayed calm, even neutral. "I already knew about it," he said evenly. Austin blinked, momentarily stunned. "Why didn't you tell me?" Leo's eyes narrowed slightly, searching. "Tell me, who told you about it?" Austin hesitated, then admitted, "Some inmates were talking about it, and I overheard them." Austin grinned and elbowed Leo lightly. "You should fight one day, man. Bet you'd knock someone's teeth out." Leo smirked. "Yeah, maybe I'll start with you." Austin laughed. "You wouldn't last around." They both chuckled, their voices swallowed by the growing noise around them. The crowd pressed closer to the ring, a mix of raw energy and desperation. Then the referee's voice cut through the chaos. "All right, we're starting the next fight." Austin straightened up, eyes wide. "The fight's about to start," he said, his tone sharpening. The first name echoed through the room. "Victor Kane." A tall, bulky white man stormed into the ring, veins bulging, pounding his chest as the inmates around roared his name. He was all aggression and arrogance, feeding on the crowd's energy. Then came the second announcement. "Darius Cole." Leo's heart froze. His eyes widened slightly as a familiar figure stepped into the ring. The tall, dark-skinned fighter, calm, composed, with the same light facial hair and that same cold, unreadable focus. The same man Theo had warned him to avoid. Theo's voice echoed in his head. "If you ever see that man, keep your distance, Leo. He's a dangerous man." The crowd split, half chanting for Victor, half whispering Darius's name like a warning. Leo's earlier amusement vanished, his eyes fixed on the two men in the ring. He wasn't watching to enjoy the fight. He was watching to understand why Theo had warned him to stay away from that man. The referee dropped his hand. "Fight!" Victor charged like a bull, roaring, his massive frame shaking the floor. Darius didn't move, he just stood there, calm, focused, his eyes locked on his opponent. Leo's heartbeat quickened. Is he going to kill him or torture him? In a flash, Darius stepped forward and unleashed a single, brutal punch. Victor's body hit the ground before anyone even processed what happened. One hit. Silence. Then the referee raised Darius's arm. "Fight over." Leo blinked. "Is that it?" Beside him, Austin muttered mostly to himself, "That's not like him." Leo turned. "What does that mean?" Austin hesitated, his voice uncertain. "I mean, look at him. I thought he'd tear the guy apart. Blood, bones, but one hit?" Leo looked back at Darius, who was already walking away, calm and cold like it meant nothing. I have to talk to him, Leo thought. Curiosity sparked inside him, sharper than fear this time. Chapter 29, Challenge Accepted. Leo found himself walking to the arena every day. Not because he wanted to, but because something drew him there. An unspoken pull, a mix of curiosity and unease. Each time, Darius was there. Always calm, always composed, always fighting and winning with a single precise strike. No theatrics, no wasted motion, just lethal efficiency. Leo noticed something new each day. The way Darius's eyes occasionally flicked toward him. Not aggression, not a challenge, but awareness, recognition, something almost like a message. He remembered Theo's words. He never fights. And yet here he was standing in the ring every day fighting, but only at moments that seemed deliberate, calculated, as if choosing exactly when Leo should see him. Curiosity gnawed at Leo. Was Darius sending him a signal? Inviting him? Every glance, every fight felt loaded with meaning. By the end of the week, Leo realized the truth. Darius was sending him a message. And deep down, he felt the tug. A challenge whispered without words. A call he couldn't ignore. Leo sat across from Austin, the second bag of food in front of him. Without hesitation, he started eating. Austin raised an eyebrow, leaning back. "Hey, you're eating mine too." Leo glanced up, mouth half full. "Yeah, I'm just hungry." Austin frowned, unsure if he should push. "Hungry? You've been eating plenty already." Leo shrugged casually, finishing another bite. "Some of us need more." By mid-afternoon, Leo's workouts had shifted. The exercises grew brutal. Push-ups, squats, sprints, shadow fights. Every movement precise, every strike powerful. Others in the yard began to notice. Even Austin, who had been patient until now, started watching with unease. "Leo, why are you pushing so hard?" Austin asked after a set of intense punches. Leo wiped sweat from his brow, eyes glinting with quiet focus. "You'll find out tonight." Austin froze, the implications sinking in. "Wait, tonight?" Leo nodded slightly. Silence stretched for a moment, then understanding hit Austin like a punch. "You're going to fight?" Austin raised his hands defensively. "Hey, I was joking back then." Leo leaned back, grinning, "And I took that seriously." Austin shook his head, both worried and impressed as he finally realized what was coming. Today was the day. The arena buzzed louder than ever, the air thick with anticipation. Every glance, every cheer, every stomp of boots echoed through the hall. The referee stepped forward, raising his hand. "First fighter, Darius Cole." A hush fell. Darius walked into the ring, calm and collected, his eyes scanning the crowd. Even as he moved, his presence radiated danger. Austin froze, his jaw tightening. "Leo, don't. You know that guy. He's dangerous," he warned. Leo didn't flinch. He waited, silent, eyes fixed on the ring. His name had yet to be called. Austin stepped closer, hand on Leo's shoulder, trying to pull him back. "Seriously, stay away from him." Leo yanked his shoulder free, voice low but firm. "Don't tell me what to do." The announcer's voice cut through the tension. "Next fighter, Leo." Leo walked toward the ring, every step measured, deliberate. The crowd's roar faded into background noise. Only Darius's calm stare remained. As he stepped into the ring, Darius's lips curved into a faint, knowing smile. He said to Leo, "I knew you would come." Leo's mind clicked into place. He realized he had been right all along. Darius had been waiting for him. Before the bell rang, Leo stood in the ring, studying Darius like a predator sizing up prey. Every muscle, every movement, every angle. He searched for weaknesses but found none. Every joint, every limb, every stance was flawless. Judging from Darius's previous fights, going for standard weak points would be useless. Leo's mind raced, scanning, calculating, until one possibility appeared. One vulnerable spot. His balls. The bell clanged. The crowd's roar blurred into the background. They circled each other, fists up, eyes locked, each waiting for the other to make the first move. Darius lunged with a jab. Leo saw his opening. He ducked slightly and drove a sharp punch upward, targeting the only weak point he had found. A tense moment passed. Darius didn't flinch the way anyone would expect. Before Leo could react further, Darius's knee shot up like a piston, smashing into his face. Pain exploded across Leo's skull as he flew backward, landing hard on the mat. Gasping, clutching his face, Leo's eyes widened as he stared at Darius, stunned. "He don't have balls," he muttered, disbelief and shock burning through him. Leo pushed himself off the mat, face stinging, limbs aching. His breaths came ragged, but he planted his feet and raised his arms, ready to defend. Darius attacked again, blistering punches that made Leo's arms scream in pain as he blocked them. Every strike drove him back, rattling his ribs and jaw. Leo swung back, aiming for Darius's face, but the man anticipated every move, parrying effortlessly. Blow after blow rained down on Leo. His mouth bled, limbs throbbed, and the world narrowed to a painful, dizzying rhythm. Yet still, he stood. Mid-fight, an idea struck him. Grapple. Timing it perfectly, Leo lunged, grabbed Darius by the thigh, and drove him to the mat. For a fleeting second, victory seemed within reach, but he couldn't twist the leg. Darius rolled over him with terrifying ease. Now Leo was down, Darius above him. One strike, then the world went black. When Darius raised his fist for another blow, Leo had already passed out. The crowd roared, stunned by the sheer intensity. Darius stood, wiping blood from his hands, shaking his head. The referee, stunned, tried to announce the winner. "Gentlemen, we have a win." But then, the impossible happened. From behind, Leo surged upward, wrapping his arms around Darius's neck and locking his legs around the waist. "What?" Darius gasped in surprise. Leo muttered to himself, adrenaline fueling him. "Zeke's trick is really useful." The crowd erupted, realizing the fight wasn't over. Leo tightened his hold on Darius's neck, pressing harder. Darius struggled, elbows striking, fists punching Leo's face, but Leo didn't let go. The struggle sent them crashing to the mat. Darius rolled, hitting hard, but Leo clung, refusing to release. Slowly, the power of the choke, the momentum, and Leo's relentless grip began to take its toll. Finally, Darius blacked out. Leo released him, and in that instant, exhaustion overtook him. His vision blurred, limbs trembling, and he collapsed beside Darius, blacking out as well. Both fighters lay on the ground, bodies battered, breaths shallow, the arena roaring in disbelief. Next chapter's dropping soon. Subscribe so you won't miss it.